Okay, everyone. In the last video, I showed you how to create a Zap so that when someone opts in on this form, we use Zapier to send the subscriber information into MailChimp. So that's kind of the first step, and potentially all you need if you are just using MailChimp to collect your data. But most people, if they're using MailChimp, they're actually going to want to send like a drip email sequence. Let's say, a seven drip email sequence over 2 weeks or a month or what have you. You're going to want to know how to actually set that up. Now, a, a comment before we start is there are a lot of ways to actually set up a drip sequence, and it would be impossible for us to go over every single variation. So we're going to just keep it very simple and start a drip sequence as soon as someone opts into the list. So with that said, we are in MailChimp, and if you remember from the last video, we have this testing and training list, and we have our one subscriber that successfully came over from Zapier. So now what we want to do moving forward is send emails and start a drip sequence to anybody who freshly subscribes to this list. Now, a note, when you create these drip sequences in MailChimp, they are not retroactive. So when I create the sequence and set it to start, it will not go out to this email address. It can't go backwards. So make sure that you set up these sequences and the rules that you want them to fire prior to adding people to that list. Otherwise, it will not happen in real time. So just a quick note, but let's go into the process. So you first want to go into the campaigns tab. You can see I don't have any campaigns here right now, but you're going to go to create campaign. You have a couple different options to choose from, but you want to create an email. And you're going to want to create an automated email. If you clicked regular, it would just be like a one-time email blast. This one, we're going to do an automated email. Now, there are a lot of different options to choose from. I always recommend doing custom. And these options over here are like pre-made sequences that MailChimp has either tested or found works in a lot of use cases. They're great. You can use them. I just personally like to use custom and start from scratch. So we're going to do custom, and let's title this just testing. And that's all we're going to do. And if I had multiple lists, I would pick the drop down from that list. But in this case, I only have this one list, so that's all we're going to do. And we're going to click begin. Now we're taken to a screen that looks like this. And this is where we get to create our sequence, which is when the emails go out, how many of them go out, and who do they go out to. So we're going to start by the first email, and we're going to edit this trigger because by default, it always starts out by 1 day after subscribers manually added to the workflow. We don't want that trigger. Rarely are you going to be manually entering people, especially if you're using Zapier to bring them in. So we want it to happen automatically because we want it to be as easy as possible. So first, we want to change this trigger to immediately. In this example, I always recommend anytime someone adds to your list, you send them, an email immediately thanking them and really setting them up for what to expect in terms of communication from you in the future. But then you're going to come over to this change trigger. Again, lots of different options. You can see why I gave the pre-statement of there's lots of different ways to do this. So we're actually just going to go to list management, and we're going to click sign up. And this means when a subscriber joins your list, which is our testing and training, that's going to be our trigger. So I'm going to select that, and it's still set to immediately. I'm going to update trigger. So now you see that the trigger is going to send immediately after subscriber joins your list. And that's to this specific email right here. And now if you wanted to actually design an email, you'll click in here. I'm going to come back to that. Let's add, let's say, 2 more emails to the sequence. 1, 2. Automatically, these triggers are defaulted to 1 day after your subscriber gets the previous email. Let's say you want it, every 2 days instead. You want to edit the trigger, and click the days and click to, and you would click update. Now you can do hours, but the smallest amount of time you can go is 1 hour. Like if I tried to click hours here and did, you know, 0.5, and I try to update, it won't let me. It has to be a value between 1 and 99. So let's actually, again, we're going to go to days, and we're going to do 2 days. Update trigger. And let's say this one, we also want to, let's just for the heck of it, just say 5 days. So now I have the first email going out immediately after they join my list, which would be from my Zap, the second email going out 2 days after the first email, and this third email going out 5 days after the second. So you can see how they add on there. Now, and you can play around with these other options here in terms of segmenting, if you have segments within your lists, or actions, you know, if they click a certain link in your email, where do you want them to go? It can get pretty advanced. Again, we're keeping this simple, but obviously you have to design the emails here for them to go out. So we'll design the email, and you can come up with your name. This is not does not appear to your subscribers, so let's just test email drip number 1, and I'm just going to copy this, but you can put in obviously your subject line, and again, this is just all a test that here defaulting how this is, and then go next. Then you can actually pick your email. So you can either have pick from a layout, pick from a theme that they have, or save templates. I don't have any right now, but I typically create email templates prior to starting this, and then just being able to create them right there, so it saves time. But let's just say I, click this one. And then I would just edit this email to fit my content that I'm trying to load up, but we're not going to do that for this time. But you get the point here, and I will save and continue. And this email is now set up there. And I would do the same for these other emails. So let's just do testing drip number 2. Let's copy this and go next, and let's go to themes and say I pick this one. Again, you're going to, this is really like the crash course, and it'll take a little time for you to make the emails look the way you want to look, or as basic as you want them to be. But we're going to do save, and then the last one. And then let's just do test email number 3. Let's just keep it that way. Next. And your themes, let's do this one. Okay, so once this saves, we have an email set up in each of these an email template set up in each of these drip emails. And the reason I added that is because when I want to go down here and say I'm done with this, I want to confirm. And if I didn't, these little check marks wouldn't have been checked. Like if I left an email blank, MailChimp's not going to allow you to send out a blank email. So that's why I did that right there. I can always edit these after the fact. If I say, oh shoot, I put the wrong template, if you're careful, that won't happen. It's pretty straightforward, but you're all set and ready to go now. And you want to make sure that when you are ready to go and actually have this thing go live, make sure to click start workflow, because if you don't, then your drip won't work, and you did all that work not for nothing, but it won't work properly. So make sure you start the workflow, and you'll get this little arm giving you rock on, the automation has started, and you're set and ready to go. You can always check it by going to campaigns, go to testing, and if it says sending, or not testing, this is the title of the campaign, but if it says sending, you are all set and ready to go. Now, if you have to edit it for any reason, say you found a mistake, you can just pause all emails and then edit your emails after the fact. And you will see that when I come back into campaigns here, you can see that it's paused and that it's not running. So if you have lots of campaigns, lots of drip sequences going, just make sure that all of them say active, or the ones that are paused that you want paused also have that statement listed, and you're all set and ready to go. So very simple, straightforward. Again, there are lots of different ways you can run these drip sequences. So play around with it and look at different scenarios, and let us know if you have any questions.